Hey everyone, today we're celebrating Kansas Day on January 29th. This is the day that honors when Kansas became a state. Kansas is known as the Sunflower State. So today we'll be creating these bright, beautiful sunflowers. I am calling, let me see if I got it even the right way. I'll just rotate it. I am calling Summer Burst. We'll be using a fun technique of blowing through a straw. Yeah, you heard me right. We're going to be blowing through a straw. This will make our sunflowers pop. And remember, every sunflower will look different, and that's what makes them special. Did you know that Kansas is called the Sunflower State? The sunflower became Kansas's official state flower in 1903. Sunflowers are known for turning their faces towards the sun. This helps them grow strong and tall. All right, that was a kind of a neat little video, wasn't it? Okay, let's look at the materials needed. First of all, my paper is just some Grumbacher watercolor paper in 8x8, and this is cold press. I have some watercolor paints here, and my straw I'm using is just one of those straws that you get from one of those cups that kind of have a little end on it. You can use any straw, it doesn't matter. I have a gel pen in case I want to add some details, some round brushes, and I occasionally, and if we have time, I'll show you how I add some details through acrylic paint markers. And I'll set those off to the side. I have my water. A viewer told me to get a rag to use to blot my brush. That was a great idea, by the way. So I have my rag. I have some paper towels. All right, well, let's get started on making the sunflower. I just wanted to tell you really quick about this print. This is a print from one of my original art pieces, and it actually is called Summer Burst. So this is what we'll be using as our reference for today's art project. And I'm just going to set it off to the side. It goes like this. Sorry, I keep turning it weird. Okay, so I'm going to set it off the side. We're going to use the wet on wet technique for the center of the sunflowers. And I'm making blobs. And I'm putting two different blobs on the page like I have shown here. You can have them coming off a little bit off this edge, or you can have almost the whole one showing. It's totally up to you. You want your paper to be shiny. So I'm sorry, I gotta kind of look at this off to the side here. I want my paper to be shiny to do the wet on wet technique. All right, I think that's good. I've already pre-wet down my watercolors, but I'm going to do it again. Especially when we start blowing through the straw, we want the paper to be runny, or the paint to be runny. So on my middle of my sunflower, it's not going to be your typical sunflower, but you can make it however you want. I am using a really dark blue, and I'm going to just dab it on my blobs. And I'm going to use a brown. And maybe an orange. And I'm going to add a little bit more blue. All right, I think that looks good for the centers. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over to one that I did previously, because what you want to do is let this dry before you start adding the petals, because it will run. And I like to let it dry overnight. So I'm going to set that off to the side. And I have one here that I started, and as you can see, I kind of made this center a little bit big, but we're just going to go with it. It'll be okay. And I had started adding some petals because I was trying to figure out how I was going to show you. So I'm going to have to use my blow dryer today to help speed up the drying process. So we're going to work on making the petals. And I really don't have a rhyme or reason for this. I just use different shades of yellow and oranges for the petals. And we're just going to loosely add in just some strokes, oval shapes. And really, that's all art is just looking at the shapes that they are. So I'm going to kind of go over this one. Maybe I'll add some more coming down this way. I want to add some coming off here. So they're going to overlap, and that's okay because our sunflowers look quite messy. I'm not trying to make them look extremely realistic here. And I'll take some oranges. And my paint brush is pretty wet. And so some of the colors might bleed, but that's okay. We want them to. Now it looks like I need to add some more. Actually, I think I need to blow dry it a little bit. So pardon me, you're going to hear my blow dryer here. And by doing this, I'm also pushing the paint around, and that's okay. You can see it, some of them, it muddled together, and that's okay. We're going to make it go for us. I don't know if you saw that. My blow dryer was actually making some of the drips like we're going to do with the straw. So it's fairly dry, not quite dry enough. I'm going to go in with some orange. And make some more petals coming down. Normally when I do this on my own, when I created this other one, I let things dry overnight or for several hours before I come back to it. So I'm kind of doing this a little bit differently than I normally do. Add some more yellow here. Hey, my wet washcloth is working pretty good. Okay, I'm going to use the blow dryer again, and I'm going to try to blow it away from the center of the flower. Okay, now I need to let that dry just a little bit more. So while that's drying, I think I will go in the center of my, I'm gonna grab a paper towel here. Because my centers were already pre-done, so they're dry. I'm gonna go in with some markers. And these are just acrylic paint markers. And the colors that I used for the center of my sunflower, I am going to just go over them with some paint markers. And so I'm using blues and browns. And I'm going to just do dots. And those can be like the sunflower seeds. And maybe grab a brown color. And this is called stippling. And I plan to have another lesson on stippling. It's one of my favorites. And I'm going to put some yellow. You could do this with the watercolor if you want to. I like mixing my mediums. Okay, I can see my paint is a little dry here. What I'm going to do now is lightly, very, very lightly, I'm going to take some really light green, and it will be the like the flower or the leaves, a really, really light green. And I don't want it to be really dark. And I'm just going to lightly just go in where all the white spaces are and paint in some green, almost like I'm doing petals. Very, very lightly. And I'm going to leave some of the white showing through, and that's fine. So I'm going to blow dry one more time here. Let me set this off. Okay, now I think we're ready to start adding some of these splatters with different colors of paint. And what we're going to do is start at the base, as you might call it, of the bottom of the center of the sunflower, and that's where we're going to pool our paint. And then we're just going to blow it, and it will go whatever direction it wants to go. And we're just going to keep filling in with paint that has been blown. As you saw, you could use the blow dryer, but I'm not going to. I like blowing through the straw. So for this, I'm going to turn my board upside down, and I'm going to start working on this one. Because I think this side is a little bit wet still. And I'm going to let that dry just a little bit more. So I'm going to take a smaller round brush, and I'm going to load it up with some blue, dark blue, and I'm going to puddle it. Where I want it. Let me set this off here. And I'm going to grab my straw, and I'm going to tilt my board just a little bit. And some of this will just be gravity. It will just run down, and I'm going to blow. Perfect. That's the look I'm looking for. So I did a little blue there. So I'm going to kind of let that dry a little bit. And I'm going to go into some of my yellows. And my oranges. There we go. That's the color I was looking for. You don't want to go exactly where you just were, because it will run. And like I said, for today's video, I'm trying to kind of speed up the process a little bit. So I don't want things to get too muddy, but I also want to be able to show you what I'm doing. So some of the colors might mix a little more than I want them to. So I'm going to blow. And you see that blue was still wet, so I just went ahead and blew some more of it out. That looks pretty good. What you can do also is sometimes to define some of these petals, I will I'll make puddles of paint down further, and I will blow some out as well too. Let's work on this side so I can start blowing some of the petals, the details going off that way. And I'm going to go with my dark blue again. Load up your brush, go at the base of your center of the flower. And I might want to add a couple here, so I'm going to do some more blue over here. And I tilt my board and I blow the paint through. And I want to do some of that deep red. I kind of like how that looks. So let's wet down my paint a little bit. I'm going to do some of that right here. And I want to do some on this other side while I have the red in my paintbrush. And this is kind of dried, so I'm going to go in over here and kind of layer it a little bit. And we will tilt your board to get it where you need it. And you will continue on doing that. And you can add as many colors as you want. I do think I need to define some of these petals a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Just define, sorry, the petals a little bit more. So I'm just lightly brushing down, and I'm making them have points on them. And I'm rushing it because I'm trying to just show you what I'm doing, and my paint bled a little bit there, but that's okay. It looks like it is a leaf maybe. And I just keep layering and layering and layering. And like I said, I like to do this in stages so that I make sure my paint dries thoroughly and like you're supposed to. And maybe add some darker greens at this point for the leaves might be. All right, I need to go back in and add some more splatters, maybe some more, maybe I'll add some brown, but I'm gonna just go over it again with the blow dryer. Okay, I see that blue, I need to run it some more. All right. Sorry if that sounds funny when I'm blowing through the... Okay, I'm going to add some browns because there is some brown, kind of this mossy brown color I'm going to do. I'm going to puddle some paint. My paint wet enough. My brush is plenty wet, but I need more color in there. I'm just loading up my brush. And since I have this kind of browny color in my brush already, I'm doing it several spots on the sunflower, on both of the centers of the sunflowers. So I'm going to tilt my board. You can add as much or as little. If you don't want to do more, if you think that's too many, stop. I think I will do a little bit more. I'm going to do maybe some yellow, orange color. And then when this completely dries, I'll show you how we can kind of define the center a little bit more. So where I've added the blobs or the puddles of water. Let's add a little bit here. Kind of funny thing, while I'm doing these sunflowers, and I called them summer bursts. Do you know that here in Kansas today, it is between 9 and 12 degrees. It is very cold. So we could use some summer cheer, couldn't we? Here in Kansas. So what a better way to paint a sunflower when it's cold out. I think I'll add some down here, down low, like I told you, some of this color. And I'm going to blow the paint again. Let's see, I'm going to maybe add some of the red down below. I forgot a spot, sorry. I see that. I think I'm going to add some of this orange, yellow. Maybe add a little bit of this red. And I'm going to put some here. Yeah, I think that will help. Maybe some here. Okay, and we're going to blow the paint. That helped, I think. Let's do that. Let's add some more. I like how I added some of that darker green, and I think I need to define my petals some more. My paint isn't real wet by doing this. If you use the lighter and you go over some of the colors you've already done, it won't affect it too much like that. There, I think that helped define the petals a little bit more. And I'm going to go in with some of this darker green again, and ever so lightly, I'm going to add some darker greens to possibly look like the leaves shining through. Okay. Now I'm going to let this dry a little bit. And like I said, you can add as much splatters if you want. I have quite a bit going on in this one. But because I was trying to hurry and trying to show you with the blow dryer and all that, actually, I think I will blow dry it one more time. Okay, what I'm going to do now is try to make the centers of our sunflowers look a little more defined. So I'm going to go in with a smaller brush and not real wet. And I'm going to take some of this darker blue and I'm going to kind of outline the center of the sunflower. And maybe some of this brown. And you probably can't see what I'm doing here, but I'm just trying to define the edge where I had blown the paint. And I'm going to add some darker little speckles in there with my watercolor. Not too many. And I think I need to add a little bit more brown. So I need to blow dry again. And if you saw that, the blow dryer blew some of that blue I had in the center, and that's okay. I can add some more detail on the centers when I use my acrylic markers. I'm going to take some of this deep brown. Yeah. Take some of this really deep brown. And I'm going to add a little bit here. Maybe here, and I got to be careful because there's some blue there. And maybe some here. I'm going to add some here. And let's see what that does. And then blow the paint. Okay. Let's step back and look at this and see what else I need. I think I'm going to take my acrylic marker here in a deeper blue, and don't know the color of this one. We'll see what color this is. Oh, it's a little bit lighter blue. All right, we're going with that. And actually, that's okay. We're just gonna, again, stipple little dots. And I'm going right over some of the watercolor I did. And this paint is going over it nicely, so that works for me. And let's go in with maybe some more of this brown. I wonder if I have a darker brown. That's kind of, I will go with this brown. And I will stipple in some brown. Okay, and you know what? After looking at my original picture, I went in with a lot of dark right here, and kind of let the center kind of bleed. And you notice on my original I didn't stipple, but you know what? I'm making this one different. So I am going to go in with some more of this dark, dark blue. And I'm going to, this is kind of what I was trying to do before, and I don't think that's, I didn't do exactly what I thought I was doing. So we are going to go in, just make little dots. And my paint brush is pretty loaded with water. And we are going to blow the paint. Yeah, that helped. Perfect. I think that's what it needed. I knew it was missing something, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Okay, now I have a really dark line going down here, so I need to add some more maybe. So that when you look at my picture, you go, okay, what's that really dark line going down there for? Need to add some more, so I'm going to maybe make this one go down here a little bit more. And maybe add to this one. And maybe add to this one. Okay. See what that does. Yeah, I'm liking that. That's looking pretty good. I need to go back in and add some more orangey yellows if I can. And what I should have done is I should have done all the lighter colors first and then went very last with the dark. But you know what? I'm doing this with you, so this is what we're doing. Loading up my brush. And maybe some down in here. I don't think that's going to show up real well. I did a little bit. So I want to kind of go in here and soften up my puddles just a little bit in the center of the sunflower. Maybe add some more browns for the sunflower seeds. And I'm going to add just a couple more little sprigs of this red and maybe define the one I've already done, make it maybe go a different direction. I'm kind of having to strategically place my paint because my paper is a little wet. Like I said, normally I wouldn't do it this wet. Yeah, that worked though. Okay, I think that's looking good, and I don't think I want to do too much more to it because I'm afraid I'll overwork it. Let me blow dry it one more time. I might go in and define some of this petals over here because they did get a little muddy, and that's probably all I'm going to do for today. Okay, I am going to just add a little bit of color or detail to these petals that are down here on this side. I feel like when I first started out, my paint was a little too wet. They got a little muddy. So I'm just gonna add kind of like I did here. Adds a little bit of definition to my petals. With some drier paint. Pardon me, I'm still getting over a cold. Going around. Ideally, what you want to do on this project is let each layer dry. I know I didn't do that here, but I still think they turned out pretty nice, and they're organic, and they don't look like a typical sunflower, and that's what I was going for. I hope you enjoyed celebrating Kansas Day through art and learning a little bit more about our sunflower state. And as always, I'm doing that thing I do. See you next time.